Welcome back to another exciting and fascinating video, and thanks for watching. In today's video, we are paying homage to some of the greatest African leaders of all time. Being a leader comes with great power. As history has proven, those who obtain great power can use it for evil. This form of leadership has resulted in large parts of Africa falling victim to horrible conditions such as slavery, diseases, hunger, lack of access to clean water, and poverty. However, a few with great power can also use it to bring good into the world. Some have been jailed in the process, while others have even died trying to make life better for African citizens. With the ability to communicate, delegate, and bring the spirit necessary to facilitate change in Africa, that also makes them great leaders. If you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. In no particular order, here are the top 10 greatest African leaders of all time. Number 10. Jomo Kenyatta. The first person to make this list is the first president of Kenya. Jomo Kenyatta was born of Kikuyu descent in Kiambu, British East Africa, which shares the same area as modern-day Kenya. He began his political career in 1929. As a representative of the Kikuyu Central Association, Jomo Kenyatta traveled to London as a lobbyist for protection of the tribal land. Kenyatta furthered his political skills as he attended school in Moscow, Russia. He studied politics at the Communist University of the Toilers of the East. From there, he moved his education to London, where he studied phonetics at University College, London, as well as anthropology at the London School of Economics. When Kenyatta returned home to British East Africa, he oversaw the school. He maintained his political aspirations by becoming elected president of the Kenya African Union. His main platform was to gain independence for Kenya from British rule. In 1952, this great leader was arrested for facilitating the Mau Mau uprising, which was Kikuyu-dominant military rebel against the British. He was the Prime Minister of Kenya from 1963 to 1964 and became president between 1964 and 1978. He brought stability and economic growth to Kenya. Number 9. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. Ellen Johnson was the first woman to be elected as head of state in Africa. She was born in Liberia and attended the College of West Africa. In 1961, she moved to the United States to attend Harvard, where she studied economics and business administration. Upon receiving her master's degree in public administration, Sirleaf immediately became a public servant in Liberia. She started her career as an assistant minister of finance from 1972 to 1973, before becoming a finance minister from 1980 to 1985, under the dictatorship of Samuel K. Doe's military. Ellen Johnson was jailed twice and almost executed for speaking out. She was released and exiled for 12 years. During that time, she lived in Kenya and the United States. While she was gone, Liberia fell apart, much large to a civil war. Meanwhile, Johnson Sirleaf became a high-ranking economist in Citibank. When she returned to Liberia in 1997, she ran for president, finishing second. She was immediately placed back into exile by her opponent, Charles Taylor, who accused her of treason. Sirleaf returned from exile in 2003 and became the chairperson of the Commission of Good Governance. Finally, she ran for president again in 2005. The Iron Lady won the elections on November 8, 2005. In 2011, Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for carving a better future for women. Number 8. Samora Machel. This influential leader was born the son of a cotton farmer in Mozambique. Throughout his childhood, Samora Machel bore witness to his parents being forced by the Portuguese to tend the cotton fields. In the 1950s, they were uprooted from their homes to make room for more Portuguese settlers. Samora was educated throughout mission schools. Upon finishing his schooling, the future leader declined a higher education and decided to become a nurse in the capital of Mozambique, Maputo. During his 10 years of nursing, he became radicalized. He joined the Mozambique Liberation Front, Frelimo, and was sent to Algeria to receive military training. Quickly rising through the ranks, Machel became the official leader in 1970 following the assassination of the incumbent, Eduardo Mondlane. Once Mozambique became independent in 1975, Machel was their first leader. He brought some economic success to the area by refusing to sign the Nkomati Accord with South Africa. This allowed Mozambique to keep an economic relationship with the white minority government, who was being pushed out by the African National Congress. One of the main countries opposing the white domination was Zimbabwe, who ironically enough Samora supported. Upon returning from a trip to Zimbabwe in 1986, his plane mysteriously crashed in South Africa. The cause is still unknown, but many point a finger to the South African government. Number 7. Thomas Sankara. Thomas Sankara was born in Upper Volta, later known as Burkina Faso, to Roman Catholic parents who aspired for him to become a priest. However, at the age of 20, Thomas Sankara opted to join the military. Sent to Madagascar for training in 1970, Sankara witnessed students and workers uprising against the government. Seeing this happening in Madagascar would have a huge impact on the future of Thomas Sankara. In the early 1980s, Sankara moved back to the now Burkina Faso. The country was being torn apart by labor strikers and military coups. With his experience in both, Sankara became a popular political activist. He became the Prime Minister of the Council for the Salvation of the People. He quickly became involved in international politics, even meeting leaders such as Fidel Castro as well as Samora Machel. Sankara was arrested many times for opposing the leadership of the president, Jean-Baptiste Ouédraogo, and eventually was removed as Prime Minister in May of 1983 during his final arrest. However, the president became overthrown on August 4, 1983. A close friend of Sankara, Blaise Compaoré, led a group that oversaw the uprising and freed Sankara in the process. The group formed the National Council of the Revolution, with Sankara as president. Under Sankara's leadership, the country saw women obtain government jobs, literacy rate increase, and 10 million trees planted. Unfortunately, Sankara was assassinated on October 15, 1978 by his one-time friend Compaoré in another military coup. Number 6. Julius Nyerere. Nyerere has made a lot of history in Africa, being the first Prime Minister of the independent Tanganyika and then the first President of Tanzania. Julius Nyerere graduated from Makerere College in Uganda. As a converted Roman Catholic, he taught in Roman Catholic schools before accepting a job at Edinburgh University. He graduated with MAs in both history and economics, promptly returning to Tanganyika to teach. In 1953, Nyerere became the president of the Tanganyika African National Union to fight for independence from the British. The British nominated Nyerere to become a member of the Tanganyikan Legislative Council. However, the leader resigned in protest of the state's slow process of achieving independence. With Nyerere's hand, Tanganyika became independent on the 9th of December 1961. Although he resigned to work on his writing, Nyerere jumped at the opportunity to become the first president of Tanzania when it became an official country. The leader pushed for a socialist way of life and emphasized financial sustainability through Tanzania. He remained a public servant throughout his life. Number 5. Patrice Lumumba. Patrice Lumumba is remembered for his charisma, oratory skills, and the major role he played in Congo DRC's independence. This revolutionary Congo-born politician was born a member of a small ethnic group called Batitela. Lumumba attended a Protestant mission school. Upon graduation, he got into writing for Congolese journals, as well as working for the Stanleyville Post Office. During this time, Patrice would become regional president of a Pew Congolese trade union government. They were not affiliated to any of the two Belgian trade union federations, such as the Socialists or the Roman Catholics. Upon return from a visit to Belgium, Lumumba was arrested under suspicions for embezzlement of the post office. After a year imprisoned, Lumumba was released and got even more into politics. He launched and presided over the Congolese National Movement, or Mouvement National Congolais, with the teachings. Upon returning to Zambia in 1949, Kaunda served as an interpreter and advisor for African affairs to Sir Stewart Gore Brown. Gore Brown was a white settler with a liberal viewpoint. Under his tutelage, Kaunda became well versed in colonial government and gained invaluable political experience. Shortly after, the future leader would join the African National Congress, quickly becoming a chief organizing officer. As conflicts arose in the ANC, a new branch called the Zambia African National Congress emerged. Kaunda became the president of the organization. The new organization used military policy against the British, who planned for the federalization of 3 African colonies. Kaunda organized a non-violent action to get the British to back down. In 1960, Kaunda was elected the president of the United National Independence Party, just as Zambia was getting its independence. The first official elections in Zambia saw Kaunda become their president. Under his reign, agriculture took a back seat. However, the copper and mining industry was booming. Over time, the industry fell and the people of Zambia remained hungry. He remained in and out of office until 1991. Number 3. Haile Selassie. Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia was born to rule, being the son of Ras Makonnen, who served as chief advisor for Emperor Menelik II. At an early age, Haile, then known as Tafari Makonnen, was homeschooled by French missionaries. His intelligence impressed the emperor, and he was quickly promoted to governor of Sidamo and then the governor of Hare. In 1911, the rising politician married the daughter of Menelik II, Weizaro Menen. Upon the emperor's death in 1917, his daughter became empress, making Selassie heir apparent to the throne. With his progressive views, Tafari took the throne in 1930 and renamed himself Haile Selassie, which stands for Might of the Trinity. He created a new constitution in 1931, limiting the powers of the British Parliament. Under Selassie's rule, police forces were expanded, schools were built, and the feudal taxation was outlawed. In 1935, Italy invaded Ethiopia and forced the emperor into exile. In 1941, he rallied the British to join his fellow Ethiopians to reclaim their land. Selassie was reinstated as emperor and had to implement all his initial initiatives all over again. Number 2. Kwame Nkrumah. Kwame was raised a Roman Catholic who began his career as a teacher at the Roman Catholic school upon graduation from Achimota College in 1930. Soon after, he grew a liking for politics, moving to the United States to study at Lincoln University in Pennsylvania. His primary studies included socialism, Marxism, and nationalism. Quickly putting his education to use, Nkrumah became the president of the African Students Organization of the United States and Canada. From there, the aspiring politician moved to Manchester, where he organized the 5th Pan-African Congress. In 1947, Nkrumah came back to his birthplace in the Gold Coast. The area was submerged in conflict, trying to break free from British rule. Riots broke out in 1948 that saw Nkrumah get arrested. Aiming for non-violence, Nkrumah formed the Convention People's Party to oust British authority. One more protest got Nkrumah arrested. However, he won the first official Gold Coast general elections. Now Prime Minister, Nelson Mandela. This leader may be the most famous in the history of Africa. Mandela studied law at the South African Native College. In 1944, he joined the ANC and became the leader of the group's youth league. Mandela established the first South African all-black law practice. He fought against South African past laws, which required that anyone who wasn't white should carry documents that authorized them to be in that area. These attempts to create racial harmony upsetted the authorities. On December 1956, Mandela and 100 other activists were arrested for treason. Upon the death of many unarmed South Africans who were black in 1960, as well as the banishment of the ANC, Mandela changed his tune on non-violence. Advocating taking down the South African regime, he went to Algeria for guerrilla warfare training. Upon his return to South Africa, Mandela was imprisoned yet again, this time sentenced for 5 years. It was during this that Mandela met the other inmates to come up with ways to sabotage the South African government. This led to the leader being given a life sentence. On February 11, 1990, Mandela was released under the order of President de Klerk. On April 1994, Mandela won South African elections and became president. Under his rule, he established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which looked into human rights violations. He also improved the living standards for the black population, introducing housing, economic and educational developments. There you have it, Displorers. Those were the top 10 greatest African leaders of all time. If you want us to cover any of your top 10 topics, please leave a comment in the comment section below. And do not forget to subscribe.